Hello guys, and welcome to another video. So today we're going to look at the Nasdaq. I'm just gonna do the normal top-down analysis and see if we can get any nice trading opportunities for the coming week. So let's get started. All right, so you know that on this channel we always start with the bigger picture, have a look and on like what's happening on the bigger picture. Then from there we will drill down and get the nice trading opportunities on the smaller time frames. So here on the monthly, we're not gonna waste time because the chart still looks the same. Where we had said that previously, we have had this which is broken, but this was removed. So now the bulls redeemed themselves because they failed to defend this support. Remember, the price moved lower than that support, right? It was at that point we were thinking that the bears would have it in them to try and reach for this support, the next support there. But the bulls didn't allow them to get there. You can see the bulls redeemed them by doing what? By taking out the bear structure. Remember, the bears are the ones that removed this. The bulls are the ones that removed this. So they redeemed themselves. So now it's a question of saying that because we are inside this area of resistance here on monthly, are the sellers gonna defend that and push down so that they invalidate whatever that the bulls are trying from here? Or are the bulls gonna persevere or keep on pushing and take them out and continue starting a new trend? Because if you look at this for the past, I think last year, the entire last year, we've been on a very bearish trend, right? So now is it time for the bulls to redeem themselves and reverse all of that? Or are the sellers gonna defend this resistance here and push to the downside? That's what we will find out when you're drilling down to the smaller time frames. But here we can definitely see that in the previous month, the price touched their resistance and it formed a pin bar. And where the bears were trying to reject the price, but this month the bulls still came back stronger and they're trying to push, still push to the upside. But I do not think they will push beyond this, but it's possible. But it's going to be very, very difficult for them to remove this area of resistance the same way that the resistance the same way that the bears struggled for some time to remove this. When it was touched, they stayed there, they stayed there, they stayed there. It took them more than 5 months for them to actually move lower than it. And even when they moved lower than it, it was not, so convincing because it was just a tail on the other side. So even here, the buyers are still going to struggle to push beyond that. So let's check what we have on the weekly chart. So the weekly chart looks something like this. And we can see that definitely the trend to the downside, the sellers, what they had has ended. And now currently the price moved slightly higher than this. If you can just, I'm not sure if you can see that. If I put this here, we moved higher than it last week, even though it's just a tail. But this breaking that structure, could open the more space for the bulls to push up to at least somewhere there. It's very possible. So when that structure is removed, that opens more room for the sellers or the buyers to push up until there. So look out for that. So it might not go all in 1 week or pushing like that, but when you remove this opens more space for us to come here. So we'll see as the thing goes. So we're definitely bullish. You can put your bullish trend line there, and the area where you'll be searching for buy trades. If you're someone that's trading on the weekly chart, you'll be taking your trades from there. But this has a chance, like I'm saying, it has a chance of going up until somewhere there. That's what we are having on the weekly chart. So let's check what we're having on the daily chart. Do we have any trades that we can take from here? So here on the daily chart, I do not think, let's see what we have here. Yes, we did go over this. So here on the daily chart, like we're saying on the weekly, because we removed this guy here, right? It opens more space for us to shoot up to at least maybe here or up until there. But because it's just a tail, remember, you took it out, you took this structure out, but you did not take it out, with a candlestick that would be something like this. It was just a tail, which means that's why I'm saying it might not go up straight like that, because if it's a tail like this, you can see that the sellers are still trying to defend it even though it has been taken out. So these tails, you can still play around before taking off. But what we know is that once this structure is removed like this, it opens more space for the bulls to shoot up to around that high there, right? we just need to, be on a lookout to see if we can't catch it before it moves up there. But remember, just because it has removed the structure does not mean it will take off immediately, which means you still need to be careful as to how you go about entering on this Nasdaq. You can see you still have this, so there's still some space for us to shoot to the upside. So let's see what we have on the H4 chart. And now on the H4, this is what we have. So let's see what we have here. The price was definitely moving, from here all the way until that high. We're moving in a bearish trend, right? And we could put maybe a bullish trend line somewhere there and say that's our bullish trend line. Now the bears pushed to this downside, breaking that bullish trend line, and even this small area of support there. Now the price went up to around the same resistance that did all of that, and then they got rejected. So you see, that's why I'm saying what we saw on the daily and the weekly, they're suggesting that there's more space for the bulls to actually push up. But because of that tail, we just broke with a tail. This tail is the one that just pushed the price beyond that high. So because of that, that's why I'm saying the price might not take off immediately. And when we get to the H4, we can definitely see that, we are moving to the upside, but the bulls are no longer as strong as, they were when they were breaking that high. Because of what? They were playing around the trend line. They were moving up nicely. They allowed the sellers to push to the downside, taking the trend line. So for now, it's going to be very difficult for them to take that out because of what? The sellers, when they retested, they came here. The sellers also not so strong, but even though they are trying, but because they are not even giving us a lower low, which means there's still a room for the bulls to push up. So what the sellers need to do right now, the buyers need to do right now, is that they just need to, let's just put this here. What the buyers need to do to have the power back, they just need to move higher than this guy here. If they move higher than this, they will be, taking out what the sellers were trying, because the sellers, they broke their bullish trend line, they came to the downside. Now they came, while moving to the downside, this is all they have achieved so far. They've never even moved lower than this. This is all they have achieved. So to reverse what they have achieved, which is just this small trend here with a trend line and this being the nearest area of resistance, what the bulls need to do to reverse this is just they just need to push up above that high. Then this will open more space for them to push up. So once they do that, once the bulls do that, you just need to wait for a pullback to this. Then this is where you are buying, right? Even if you're buying, you need to remember this is the highest point that we have. So the sellers, because they started all their, they started showing strength around there. This is where, when the price comes back, if you're getting a buy trade, if the price goes there, you need to place your TP1 there. And the maximum TPs, or where you're going to exit more, will be those areas that we have identified on the bigger time frame, saying that because the price has pushed beyond this, it has a chance of going up there. So that's where you can exit all your trades. So the price does have a potential of going there, but it might not go immediately, which is why you need to play it safe. Just because you're moving up does not mean you will just carry on going up. You won't have deeper pullbacks or retracement or reversals along the way. As you can see here, I'm saying if it takes out this and that, it opens more space for you to shoot to at least until there. That's your first stop, and then you'll push beyond that as the price is pushing up. So let's check what we have on H1. All right, so now this is what we have on H1. The same thing that we saw on the H4, where the price was nicely moving to the upside, all of that being taken out by the sellers when they pushed it down here, right? Then they pushed and became bearish on this time frame, right? And then this is the area that started all of that, this area there, and you can see the price pushed up, and because that area is so strong, because it's the one that pushed it down, it still rejected the price again to the downside, but this still remains the lowest point they reached here, right? So now, because they are still trying to push to the downside, but they are not getting lower than this, which means even though they are trying to disturb what the bulls were trying to achieve, the trend of the bulls, they have disturbed that by pushing beyond their bullish trend line, but they are also not making any progress to the downside, which means this still means there's still an option, or there's still a possibility that the bulls could still push up. and you can see around the same level that they've been struggling for so long to move past. They were forming all those rejection candlesticks, and then the price shot up. So if we want to enter to the upside, because you're saying there's still more space for the bulls to push up, it's going to be the same way that we saw on the H4. This is the trend line, right? And it's being removed. And now what we just left with is the price to move beyond this. If it just moves beyond this, then definitely a pullback worth you taking a trade from it. But you still need to keep in mind that this is the highest point where all the sellers started showing some strength and pushed to the downside. It went around the same level, pushed to the downside again, but they're failing to create a lower low, which means the bulls can still defeat them. So what the bulls need to do is just to start by doing what? Removing this and removing that, then open more space for them to shoot to the upside. So that's what we have on this one. I think that's what you can expect from this one. I think the safest way would be to wait for this guy to be removed, then a pullback. It's worth you taking your trade from, because we said on the bigger time frames there's still a very huge space for us to shoot until there. So if you want to be, we are saying this because we have taken out this, but because we said we removed it with just the tail, so because of that we might not go up immediately, and all of that is starting to show when you move to the H4, where the structure is not so bullish like we saw on the daily or the weekly. Now we can see the price moving towards the downside, which means for us to take the buy trades, because here the structure doesn't allow us to take the buy trade, which is why we're saying play it safe. Wait for this to be removed, wait for this to be removed, then you can continue buying like that. The same thing I said on the H1, wait for this guy to be out. It's already been removed, but now you're just waiting for this to be removed, then you take a buy like that. So that's what you can expect from Nasdaq. Then just keep an eye on it. It will give you some trading opportunities. All right, thank you.